Wouldn't it be so nice if you could see a guy that you want, be able to verify if he actually is a good guy, look at his relationship facts, maybe so to speak, right? And just snap your fingers and voila, it's there. Amazing relationship, marriage, kids, whatever you want. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I'm sure we all wish it could be that easy, but it's not. But the good thing is there are ways to increase your chances of success or to be able to captivate a man that you have a desire for and that you're able to get to know and begin the process of dating. So I'm going to lay out for you some things on how to get him hooked in the early stages of dating, because that early stage is extremely important. It's kind of make or break as far as how far is this thing going to go. But before I tell you how to hook them, all right, and of course, watch the whole video because I'm always going to explain various angles that you need to hear. But I want to start with telling you 3 things not to do. 3 things that I commonly see women getting themselves caught up in and engaging in, maybe because they thought, it would work in their favor or they've been taught the wrong thing or whatever the case may be. Anyways, let's get to it. The first thing not to do is give him money or gifts. Now, here's the thing. When I say not to do it, I want to make this very clear. And this is going to apply to all the 3 on this list. All right. And again, I'll tell you after this how to actually hook them. When I say not to do it, what I'm really saying is do not do these things with the hope or belief it will gain his love, affection, and attention. Do not do these things because you're expecting to be viewed in a greater light from him. If you choose to do these things, let it be because that is what you genuinely want to do. And even if it turns out he's not for you, he was wasting your time, whatever the case may be, you're able to walk away and say, I'm cool because I did it because I wanted to do it. All right. If that's the case, fine. Because when we're talking about giving money and gifts, if you are just a very giving woman, I don't want to simply say don't do it just because hell, you might have a situation where he's a great guy and maybe he gives you gifts too. And maybe that's the thing that you guys have together. Nothing wrong with that. But I have seen many women in an attempt to gain favor in this man's eyes, try to be over giving. All right. Overly do it. Being too quick to give money. Now, here's the thing. I truly believe this with all my heart. The man who is serious about you, it is extremely unlikely that he would even ask you for money in the early stages of dating. So to me, the fact that if he does ask you, that's a warning sign to begin with. It's a red flag at the very least to address, because we have to understand that when a man is serious about a woman, views her as this could be my potential future wife or whatever, his mindset is impressing you. And men know, the vast majority of men understand that financial stability is something that women look for. And no man who's trying to impress a woman wants to come off as broke. He doesn't want to come off as I need you financially. If he doesn't care how that looks to you, it might be because he's just there to use you to begin with. All right. So I don't think that the guy who's serious would even ask. But let's just say he's not asking. You just feel maybe you make a lot of money. All right. Some of y'all probably like, hell no, I ain't doing that anyway. But listen, it may not be you, maybe a friend, maybe a family member, or you may find yourself in this position where you're tempted to come out your pocket. And again, don't do it because you're trying to capture his heart, because that does not capture the heart of a man. That's not what draws a man to you, not for the right reasons. All right. It can draw the leechers. It can draw the users. It's not what's going to draw the man who truly values, respects, and wants to pour into you. You also don't want to send the message that you're here to fund him, so to speak, to where he just views it as, okay, I don't have to do anything because she does everything for me. And that can happen. But there's something else I want to speak on in regards to this whole giving money that I think it gets a little trickier, but I definitely hear more women saying that they would do or they're open to doing. And that's paying for the date. All right. Now, listen, let me first say quickly, what I'm about to say right now is my personal view. Okay. I would never look for a woman to pay for the date. That's me. I'm not going to sit here and say people are horrible or men are wrong if they allow a woman to pay for it. I'm not going to say the woman is doing something horribly wrong by paying for it. I'm going to say I don't get down like that. I'm not feeling it. What I've always suggested a woman do is offer the tip, because I think that more importantly than paying, it's showing that you're also invested in the situation such as him, which I do think that can contribute to quote unquote hooking him, because no man wants to feel used, wants to feel taken advantage of. He wants to know that you're seriously out with him to get to know him. And though you may not know this or believe this, there are tons of women that go out with men just for free meals and a free good time. Okay. And men have fallen victim to this. So many men have now become wary. And this is where the whole hesitation with paying or wanting to go Dutch can come in for a lot of guys. Now, for me, I'm a believer in, if you're concerned about being taken advantage of financially, go on creative dates. And I'm a firm believer that if the same way I say a man who's serious about you is not going to ask you for money, I'm a firm believer that when a woman is truly looking at this guy like, this could be something, or I really like him, I'm really attracted to him, she's not going to scrutinize the date as much as she would with the guy that, I don't know if I really like him, but I'm going to try this out. I'm going to give him a shot. It's almost like it's a charity date. Not that you're not open to it going somewhere, but you're not actually into this moment. And so in that scenario, you may be much more particular about the date, what was spent, some women. But when you really like him off the bat, you're enjoying just the opportunity to get to know each other and see where you can build. So to me, the guy should just find a creative date that doesn't break his pocket so he don't feel like he's getting used. But let me not steer too far off from the point. Getting back to you as a woman, giving money, giving gifts, paying for dates. Again, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this if I'm going to do it? Okay. Again, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with it. More specifically, I think, let me make this clear. If the man asks you on a date, he needs to pay. I just don't see any reason why he would ask you and then expect you to go half or expect you to pay. I think that's a bit ridiculous. That's the way I honestly view it. But if you were to ask him, which that doesn't typically happen, but let's just say you're one of those women who are willing to ask a man out, then I do think that that's where you may have to accept the responsibility of paying because you initiated the date. All right. And of course, if it's I don't know, if I was going to say if it's a mutual thing, but it never really happens mutually. It's kind of just one person really initiates it. But the point I want to make here, and I'm going to move on to the next thing, is sometimes I see women wanting to pay, and it's kind of a defense mechanism. It's not really genuine from the heart. I just want to show that I'm an equal participant in this dating process, or, I really genuinely don't have a problem, paying the bill. Sometimes it's more like, well, I don't want him expecting nothing, so let me go pay for it. And the reason why I think that can be problematic is because if you're having that kind of mindset with him, then in what other ways are you going to be defensive? You see, if this is a defense mechanism that you're using to kind of have a wall up in certain ways that to you may seem harmless, but it's not that the actual specific action of paying is so harmful. It's what's the underlying issue that's contributing to it that I would want you to address. All right. And I simply think that, again, in the vast majority of cases, you don't have to do that if he's serious about you. All right. It's a kind gesture. And again, if you feel in your heart that you want to, because you genuinely just want to, and you want to show him that you have no problem doing it for him, cool. But also let me say this, last point. Now for real, I will move on to the next thing. Understand the stage you're setting in this potential relationship. If you start coming out the pocket really fast and being well, I got to pay my 50-50. And listen, if you're going to tell me you're completely okay with 50-50 for the rest of that relationship, then okay, fine. But if you know that eventually let's just say you're a woman who feels like, well, once we get in a relationship, I expect him to carry the financial burden. I don't mind contributing, but I expect him to carry more of a burden. Well, then doing those things like paying for the date early on, you're sending a mixed signal essentially. You're saying to him, I don't mind paying my half, but then you're actually going to switch the tables on him later. Don't do that. Start how you want things to continue. It's the same way I would tell a man, if you don't have fine dining money, all right, or you don't live a fine dining, expensive lifestyle, don't start the dating phase like that, because you're going to get her accustomed to a certain living that you cannot sustain. And you're going to essentially switch the tables on her. So the same thing can happen as a woman in this regard. Like, yo, set the expectations that you're going to want to sustain throughout, so he understands what he is signing up for. All right. But I digress. Let's get on to the next point. All right. So the next thing not to do that a lot of women will do, thinking it's going to hook the man in, is have sex with him. All right. Now, again, for the sake of me being able to comfortably discuss this, let's just put aside the spiritual aspect for today. All right. We all know the spiritual side is waiting and definitely not having sex. And I completely agree with that. I understand that, though I know many of us will struggle or have struggled, but we understand that should be the goal. Okay. But we're going to put that to the side. I'm going to speak of this strictly outside of that. And I'm going to say this. Listen, again, if you want to lay down with him because you want to, and you're completely okay with whatever happens next, that is your choice as a grown woman. Okay. And what I mean by whatever happens next, that means if you don't receive a phone call from him the next day, if you're going to be pissed off because you got it in with him, all right, then you shouldn't be doing it. If you're going to be like, oh, well, you know what? It's disappointing he didn't call, but at least I got some. Hey, then that's your thing. That's your thing. Okay. But more importantly, do not do this with the idea that this will reel him in. It might attach him to you. Notice I use the word attach. But even though the title of this video is hooking him early stages, you know, I don't want y'all creating unhealthy attachments. I want y'all to find the person you have a real connection with and can experience real love with. And so real connection does not require rushing into intimacy, rushing into sex so soon. That's simply not necessary. When the guy really likes you, he's going to be a little more patient. Now, granted, some guys may not be ready mentally for complete abstinence, so to speak, or there's a deadline in their head of how long they can take this. All right. But I think in the very early stages, people are much more flexible and much more accommodating when they're much more serious and intentional about who they're dating and who they're trying to get to know. All right. I've seen men who were essentially man whores. All right. Running through the streets all over the place with this one, that one, this one. Meet a woman, day one, come to me and say, oh my gosh, I think she could be the one, and tell me he does not want to rush being intimate with her. All right. So the same guy who, if those other girls weren't intimate with him quickly, he would have cut them off in a heartbeat, was completely willing to be patient with this specific woman. And that is typically what happens. Again, the amount of time a man can wait can vary due to various different factors, but you don't need to feel like you have to do this for him to like you. And any man who makes you feel like that has to happen for him to even like you and show intention, nah, don't even take it serious. And he's not ready to build something on a stronger foundation, because though if you see my other videos, I definitely believe that intimacy is extremely important. Physical, emotional, all levels of the intimacy. But the foundation must be connection. The foundation must be we truly like each other. The foundation must include a level of friendship. That's what needs to be established. And so focus on that. Do not rush yourself hoping that's going to make him stick around or like you more. All right. And now the last one before we move on to what to do to hook him. And this one, again, could get a little tricky. So I'm going to try to navigate it as best as possible. Number 3 is cooking for him and playing housewife. All right. Now, let me be very specific here. I don't think there's anything wrong if let's say you are, because some of y'all don't even cook, and that's fine. I'm not judging. All right? I'm not judging. But this clearly won't apply to y'all if you're not someone who cooks anyway. But for those of you who do, and maybe some of you who love it, right? It's a very natural thing for you to want to then cook for the man that you're really into and feeling. And my thing is, if you are cooking that day at home and you happen to have an extra plate for him, I don't think there's anything wrong with you giving him a plate. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking some portions out of what you made and allowing him to have a taste or a good meal one day. I don't think that's a big deal. However, when you get into the mode of playing housewife, where you are cooking for him, you're doing this for him, all right? It can get tricky. Now, I think that, listen, if it's a one special occasion early on and it allows him to see you got some skills in the kitchen, I can't really argue against that. But I've seen women where it gets out of hand, all right? And now you are sliding into playing housewife. And you are constantly, consistently cooking for this man. And again, it's almost like you're giving him the benefits for a job that he hasn't officially been hired for. You know what I'm saying? And let's face it, it's almost like, yo, if I'm getting the benefits already before I'm officially hired and I'm required to give a certain level of work and commitment to this person, this company, what in the analogy I'm using, well, if I'm getting the paycheck and the benefits, I'm just not going to come to work. For what? Like, I'm not doing extra work if I don't have to. So you got to be really careful with, are you letting a lot slide? And I think this is why it can get tricky, because there are some scenarios where the man in the dating process is pouring into you, is doing things for you, even though you guys have not made it official. And so you may feel more comfortable cooking for him consistently because, well, he does do for you too. And there are men who will make that argument. Well, if I'm doing for her, why she can't cook for me? And though I understand that argument and I understand why I can get comfortable or why people can slide into those roles, you got to be careful because, again, as I've told you in other videos, sometimes a man can act like your boyfriend and still not want to be your boyfriend. Still not want to ever truly commit to you, still not see you as his future. And so this is why it goes back to, if when it's all said and done, if let's just say you're dating this dude and a few months in you start cooking for him consistently, let's say we're 7 months, I don't know why I jumped to 7 months, but we're 7 months down the road. And now you try to talk to him about an issue and he says, well, listen, we never made this official. You're not my girlfriend. We're not obligated here. If you're going to be mad because you've been cooking for this joker this whole time, that's where I want you to think ahead. I want you to be like, listen, if I'm put in this position because I haven't been given an official commitment and I'm going to feel salty about the fact that I did these things, then you shouldn't be doing them. But if you're like, hey, you know what? I did these things. I wanted to do them. I'm at peace with the fact that I did them, even though the end result wasn't what I wanted. Then as a grown adult, you have that choice and you're allowed to do what you want to do. So just be mindful of that, and because when that regret comes in, then you end up, I just have to say this one more thing. You end up like overcompensating in your next situation. And when I say overcompensating, you end up doing even less for the next dude, like beyond less, because you're like, well, I ain't never going to get caught up like that again. I'm not going to do all that extra stuff again. But you don't not only do the extra, you do less than the minimum now. Because you become too guarded because you feel like you were taken advantage of in the previous situation. So you want to be very careful of that. But those are 3 quick things that I've seen a lot of women do, thinking that it's going to get them the man when it can get you a user, it can get you a narcissist, and yeah, it can get you an attachment with a man, but it doesn't actually get you what you're looking for, that real love. So hey, real quick before I continue, if you want to receive the best piece of relationship advice I've ever gotten, be sure to click the link in the comment section below and I'll get it to you right away. You're gonna love it. So again, click the link in the comment section. All right, so I gave you what not to do that are very common mistakes, but let me now tell you how to actually hook this man. All right, how to make it work. Now, again, I was gonna say it at the end, but I'm gonna say it now. I do these videos using these titles because this is what people are looking for. This is what, through research, we know will draw the audience in. And it's not that I'm trying to like manipulate y'all with the title, but I want you to always remember that if I say something like hook him, get him, make him fall in love with you, whatever, I'm really gonna speak always from a genuine place, not from a tips and tricks that are manipulative and game playing. Because what happens is, yes, I can give you some psychological things that can really reel a man in, but you can end up with the man that that's not really best for you. You can end up with what you thought was going to be a dream situation. It turns into your worst nightmare. So I want to make sure that you are able to embrace and reel in what is truly best for you. And some of you may say, well, if it's really best for you, or if it's really truly for you, why do we have to do anything? There is always a role that we play. We have to be mindful of how we nurture situations, how we cultivate certain environments, how we're pouring into it to make sure we see success. Because if we don't do our part, yes, it can get derailed. So this is really about applying it for the right guy, but applying this in general, what I'm about to list for you, is going to help you see much easier who is right and who is wrong. These things not only hook in the right guy, they expose the wrong one. And that's the beautiful thing about using genuine approaches that are built out of truth and built out of who you really are, not some game and who you got to act like just to make him want you. Forget all that. All right. But anyways, let's continue. So the first thing to do to get him hooked in the early stages of dating is to be genuine. All right. Now, what I mean by being genuine, it's a combination of being yourself. So let's start with that. One, being yourself simply because, listen, again, if you got him hooked being something you're not, you can't sustain that. So there's no purpose. There's no point of it. All right. It's going to blow up in your face anyway. And I can't tell you how many women I have coached, either in relationships, married or divorced, who they can tell you they reached a point where they got the guy they thought they wanted, only to wake up one day, look to the side and be like, what the hell am I doing here? and why is this man next to me? Like, this is not what I thought I was signing up for. You want to be really careful with playing these games. That's why we don't do that here. So by being yourself, you're able to see who truly connects with you. All right. And you have to be okay with the fact that, yes, you're going to meet men that you may really want, or you may think that you want based on what you're being presented. But if they don't connect with the real you, they can never truly make you happy or pour into your happiness. Because yes, happiness is part of our responsibility, or is our responsibility, but a partner should be able to pour into that happiness. And they can't do that if they can't accept and embrace who you really are. So it's important that you stick with that. But now also in being genuine is, again, you don't want to do things with ulterior motives. You don't want, and it's very easy that even when you're not trying to, it's like sometimes playing games, men and women, is not out of malicious intent. It's not out of I'm trying to hurt them, confuse them, stress them out. It's out of I'm trying to do what I think is going to give me good results. I'm trying to protect myself in the situation. The intention behind it, again, is not some evil thing, but it's still unhealthy and it still leads to bigger problems. So when we're being genuine, we don't play games. We're keeping it real. Again, of course, being yourself, and really being honest about what it is you need in this situation. All right. And again, and let me also say this. I don't think women realize how when you're overdoing it or underdoing it, the good man's going to pick up on that. And it can turn them off. When you're being way too extra, trying too hard, that can be a turn off. And when I say trying too hard, again, not you're being your true self who maybe pours so much into a man. No, you're trying to, in some calculated way, be super extra, hoping that it's going to reel him in. That doesn't really work. Or you're holding a lot back, hoping that, well, I don't want to come across thirsty or desperate or whatever, but you're not being true to who you are. And that can also turn him off, because then he might feel like you're not really into him like that. You're not really as engaged as he is. And that's why the safest bet is be you. All right, now the next thing, now this one right here is so huge when it comes to hooking a man in the early stages of dating. All right. And that is expressing desire. All right. And we're going to add on to that, giving compliments. Women underestimate the fact that men want to feel desire too. A lot of women do. And listen, we want to hear the compliments. We want to hear from the woman that we're interested in, that we're really into. Some of y'all sometimes, you meet a guy, and let's say he's a really good looking guy. So in your mind, well, he always gets compliments. Women are always, after him. I don't want him to think I'm one of these girls. But then you're not feeding him what he may need from you. He wants to know that you think he looks good. And yeah, you can say, well, if I'm out with him, of course I do. Nah, it doesn't hit the same. The same way if a man dates you, if he never tells you, man, you looking nice today, or shows you desire, it might make you question some things. So don't underestimate that. And I don't care how good he looks. I don't care how much attention he gets from other women. It's about what attention you're showing him, what desire you're expressing to him. And again, I've said this in previous videos where, long story short, there was a survey done by this man. They had a whole book about it. Like, what are the things that raises a woman's chances of being married? Anyway, they had asked the married men after getting their marriage license, what made you marry this woman? And one of the most popular answers was, because she liked me. And I think when women hear that, they may not fully grasp what that means, but it basically means men are so used to having to be the ones to court, to go after, to show the interest, to essentially, in a lot of cases, do more. I know that the stories you ladies hear make you think like, nah, we're the ones doing the most. We're the ones putting all the work. I understand. But in the situations where a man is genuine and serious, the good guys out there, and there's plenty of them, despite what some of you may believe, they have found themselves in situations where they're making most of the effort. And so when the woman reciprocates, not just in effort, but in expressing desire, it reels that man in. It makes him feel good. I'm going to say this one thing and I'm going to move on. It's hitting my spirit. It's a funny thing that's hitting my spirit, but work with me here. Why do you think some men are so attached to strip clubs? All right? I know, that came out of left field. You weren't expecting that, all right? Don't judge me. Just work with me for a second. There are men who will go in a strip club, know that woman ain't going nowhere with him, all right? That he may not have no shot with her. He could have told himself, I ain't going to spend no money. I'm just going there to have a couple drinks. And will throw his whole paycheck at the woman who makes him feel like she likes him and is into him, all right? Men are so weak, and I say that respectfully, but they're so weak to women who show this desire and interest, even when there's a side of him that says, man, she playing me right now, but this feels so good, I'm just going to keep it going, all right? So I'm not saying be a stripper. No, not judging strippers neither. I'm just saying that energy men are very receptive to, the energy of showing desire and complimenting and things of that nature. All right, so now let's keep this moving. I hope the stripper analogy ain't throw some of y'all off or make y'all walk away. But next thing on how to hook them early in the dating phase or dating process is being very transparent. All right, so I'm gonna make this one very short and sweet. One of the things that men complain about a lot with women is lack of transparency, lack of clarity. Like this idea that so many women want men to read their mind rather than just saying what the issue is, saying how you're feeling, saying is it what you're looking for. You know, and for a lot of men, it's like, if I just knew what she needed from me, I would do it. And when you're unwilling to be transparent, especially, you got to understand, and I've said this in other videos, where when a man's really into you, he's much more fragile in that situation. He's much more sensitive. He's much more cautious. And so he's not trying to get it wrong. And when you're not clear with him and there's a lack of transparency, but let's just say something is bothering you, that now makes him worried, like, okay, now I don't know what's going on with her. And I don't know if she's losing interest, because it could be like you could be annoyed because he forgot to do something, right? And he doesn't know that that's the issue, but he sees you're acting different. And to him, he has to assume things. And now his assumption is maybe she doesn't like me anymore. Maybe she's talking to another dude. Like, so many different things start running through his head. And I know as a woman, you've experienced that. Man starts acting different. You start running all these different scenarios. Well, the guy who's serious about you, he has that experience too. And so when you're not transparent, you create the opportunity for assumptions, doubts, fears to creep in a lot easier. So by being transparent, it's a very refreshing thing. It's like, I don't have to guess with her. She's straight up with me. She keeps it real with me. That makes a man more drawn to you because it creates a level of peace and no confusion and drama. And that's what men want. They want to share their life with a woman that it's not all this nonsense with. So when you can be transparent, that's a big deal. All right. Now, the fourth one, and we got one more after this, is be positive. Okay. I always say there's a lot of good women, but not a lot of positive women. All right. And that's not to discount the many of you who are positive, but let's face it. Some of y'all know some friends, some family members, all right, who, their energy is not the most positive. All right. We're talking about women, of course. And understand that it ain't just with you that you'll experience this with them. They take this into their relationships too. And some of you may be those women. And I don't want you to, feel bad. I just want you to be mindful of it so you can say, okay, let me start changing my vibe, my energy. And for a lot of women, I feel the need to say this because a lot of women come into the dating process guarded. They don't understand how that ends up projecting negative energy, or that at least hinders their ability to be more positive. And so you got to address the deeper issues that's creating those walls, but just being mindful of how you talk to that man. How you talk to a man is a very powerful thing. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when you can learn to deliver that message in a more positive, loving, calm tone, you make things so much better. And again, because women underestimate how often it is for a man to meet the woman who isn't positive, they don't understand the power of being positive, because to that man, it's like, yo, you immediately separate from the average woman in a lot of guys' eyes. All right. And I mean, if you go on the internet and scour some of these pages, you hear about men complaining about women being too hard and masculine and all these things. And I know some of you, because a lot of those men are delivering those messages in unhealthy ways or attacking manners, it can be hard to receive those things. And that's why I try to give it to you in a way that you can receive it, because there is truth to the fact that many women, for various reasons, are struggling with exuding more positive energy. Now, listen, positivity is important for you, first and foremost, and for every aspect of your life. So I don't even want you to just do it just for the sake of hooking a man in dating. I want you to do it so you can live a better life, period. But yes, it's going to have a very great impact on a guy that you're dating if you really want to fortify this relationship and be able to see it flourish into something amazing. And now the last thing, but not least, and I kind of already alluded to it, the way to really hook them in, or another way to really hook them in, is tapping into your feminine energy. All right? Women who know how to use their feminine energy, it's literally like having a sword, a big, like, I don't know if y'all remember the show. What was it? He-Man or something? One of those cartoons, they had a big old sword. Anyway, you know what? Forget that. Some of y'all may not even know that cartoon. The point is, it's powerful. The point is, those who know how to wield the sword know how to get their way in life, know how to see positive results. And again, just like positive energy and femininity kind of go hand in hand to a certain degree. It's not just for the men, it's for you first. It's for your life. You're going to find more peace when you're able to walk in your femininity. You're going to find that not only men, but people are more receptive to you. You're going to see more doors open up when you're tapping into it. So learning how to engage in feminine energy and be comfortable in it. And I stress comfortable because many of you have become very detached. There might be some of you right now like, well, what is feminine energy? I don't even understand that concept. And forgive me for not breaking it all down in this video. I'll, real quick plug, Go to my membership program is one way, but I have some other videos and we'll talk about it more in the future. The plug for the membership program, receivingmyblessings.com. Sign up. We learn about femininity, finding your purpose, hearing God, a lot of beautiful things. Join as soon as possible. But in general, it's getting comfortable because so many have become detached from it and have become accustomed to carrying that masculine energy. And it's not something I'm blaming you for, because I understand circumstances have pushed a lot of women into masculine roles, into a more masculine vibe. And let me also say this, for those of you who might say, well, what's wrong with that? Listen, if you can tell me you have found peace and happiness walking in your masculine, then I'm not going to tell you that you have to walk away from that, all right? But what I have seen is that it is not working for the vast majority of women, if not pretty much all women, all right? Some may tolerate it, some may have convinced themselves they're okay, but in the long run, it is not working. And it's not only not bringing them peace and good results, I am seeing women developing physical ailments because they don't understand how all this masculine energy they're holding on to is creating emotional stress in the body, which then manifests into all kinds of other physical issues, all right? And internal issues. So understand that when I say this to you, it really is for your benefit. But yes, without a doubt, a woman who can walk in her feminine is a powerful woman and is going to be able to draw that man into her even more, especially if your desire, which is for most women what it is, if your desire is a masculine man, because that's what he wants. And when you two can come together and understand that the importance of the masculine and feminine is providing balance to each other when coming together. And that creates a beautiful, amazing experience, relationship, and union that you can take all the way forward in life. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. A woman who walks in her femininity walks in her power. And I'm about to help you access that power by giving you 5 feminine traits men find irresistible in women. Now listen, I am a firm believer that